Alright, you're almost too well lit now, to be honest with you. Like, it's like a little like, with the head, it's, like, glowing, you know? Yeah, that's better. Alright. You ready for TikTok? You ready to bring in the goons? Alright, I've got the shared chat on. Let's go live. I look like a little emo boy today. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. I'm very excited because I officially have, like, a full mullet. I I'll tell this story once you hold on, get on TikTok. I think so. Hold on. Hold on. Oh no, I gotta turn it back on because I now we're on. All right. Can you get in the TikTok? Oh, it's my favorite when there's zero viewers. I'm just like, yes, give us nothing. Okay. All right. All right. Are we cooking? Are you ready to hear my mullet story now? So I have a policy. I try really hard not to check social media on my phone, like in the middle of the night if I wake up because like my kid wakes up or something like that. I really try not to. But last night, for some reason, I did. I opened it at like 2:30 in the morning, and I don't know if you saw a video I posted like 2 days ago about how I cut my hair and I feel like a bitch now, and it's like the best. And I noticed, like, it's I cut my hair now. I'm like just like a massive bitch, but like in the best possible way. I'm like I'm a psychopath now, but like I love it. And dude, I am getting like fucking shadow banned to shit right now on TikTok. I'm just sorry. This is just I just am like, wait a minute. This is weird. Anyway, so all that to say, really, it's been very weird. Oh, wait, no, I wanna talk about that. I just was gonna tell you the end of my story. I'm getting back on track, is that at 2 o'clock in the morning, I check my phone, and you follow Hawk, right? The guy who talks about the news, who's got the, like, flowy '80s hair. He duetted it and was like, "Should I do the same with his mullet?" And I, like, died because I was like, I really like, that is the hairstyle that I have right now, is like, I have Hawk hair right now, so I will be getting a haircut tomorrow, and I will be. Yeah, we're, like, friendly. I posted something about him a long time ago, and ever since then, I just yeah, I don't know, we're buddies. I will, I'll take it to the bank. I like him. Yeah. Hey, Bridget. You got the right mic source selected?
here.
Wow. Bridget's really putting me on blast right now while Ari is talking.
Now you sound weird to me. So
Guys,
weird.
Bridget, I owe you a DM. I am sorry. I cannot keep up. I apologize, but I would like to. It's because you
Hello?
know what it
Hello?
is
There
like
we go.
anytime that some requires me to, yeah, there you go. Anytime I get a DM that requires me to like take action, I'm like, I'll come back to this when I have more bandwidth, and then I forgot. All right, it sounds like you're back.
Oh my God. Thank you, Amanda. That's my cousin who reached out and let me know she couldn't hear my beautiful voice. Uh,
Aw,
what was I saying? Fuck, it wasn't important. It wasn't
that's
important.
support.
No, I was
We were
gonna
talking
say
about
no. So
Hawk, how he's not really an influencer.
yeah, yeah, and me and you like kind of talked offline a little bit about like influencers and if we think like maybe the future of politics or politicians are going to be like influencers and online personalities, and I don't know, maybe um I like someone like him. I mean, I could see it, you know, but it's tough because you know how I feel about like I could just fucking talk forever about like liberal influencers and like even the money that they're taking. I don't think it's strategically helping us like on a
Yeah,
strategic level to like win elections. It's not like you know, it's not the money isn't going towards like winning messaging is like what I'm trying to say, I guess.
yeah. I don't we were chatting about this earlier about how like so many of these new progressive candidates we're seeing come up are already have this like background as influencers. Well, do you let's talk about Nashville. Do you want to get into or not Nashville? Let's talk about Tennessee. You want to get into
Yeah,
Afton?
yeah.
I was
For
sort of
those
watching that unfold last night and I was like, okay, I'm tapping out. I'm having
yeah.
flashbacks.
Should we
But it
just
wasn't
play
all bad. It was good. Tell me about it.
should we I could play like a little video on the race itself just so people just a quick thing, or should we play Andy's video? Andy has a good video on it too, right?
Yeah, let's pull up Andy's video. And for those who are on TikTok, we are live streaming on Twitch. And we will be doing screen shares, reacting to stuff, responding to stuff. So we would love to have you hang out on Twitch with us. You can look up either one of our usernames and find us there. You don't have to download the Twitch app. You can do it on a browser. You can put it on your TV. You don't need to create an account, I don't think.
No, you don't have to.
So
Yeah.
find us over there.
She lost. But while watching,
Right, hold
Pat
on.
Lynch is here. I got the pleasure of watching Pat Lynch for a while last night on live. I love Fist and Thank You. I love seeing so many New Hampshire Talk people doing lives. It's so fun.
Afton Baines' 7th Congressional District in Tennessee race, I kept thinking to myself, this is exactly what Democrats do well and do not do well in. Because on the one hand, they were able to finally prove what they love to claim about themselves, which is if you center affordability and housing and healthcare and just working class issues, you can move the needle. In a deeply red district where Trump won by 22 points, the needle was moved. Because no matter how you slice it, she forced Republicans to dump a ton of money into a seat that they have not lost in decades. Largely, I think Tennesseans understand that their material conditions are not improving. But I don't think the critique of the Democrats, and especially Afton Bain in this scenario, is that they do nothing. It's just the limits of what they're willing to do. And I'm sorry, the Democrats treated this like it was a national spectacle. One that they knew they would lose. But by watching her campaign and the Democrats, I realized that both Afton and the Democrats treat left-wing fiscal policy as if it's some sort of liability and not a roadmap. The Democrat Party is still unwilling to run a fully populist, working class insurgent campaign that breaks through all culture wars. They're just unwilling to do it. And like I said, I live here. I do not believe that Tennesseans are waiting for some polished talking point. I think they're waiting for somebody to look at them and talk very plainly and say, you deserve health care. You deserve housing. You deserve to be able to put food on your table and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And Afton almost got there. She did. But people deserve more than Republican cruelty and definitely more
If
than
you're just
Democratic
joining us on
caution.
TikTok, we
I think
are
the people are
watching some
ready.
screen share stuff
It's
over on
just
Twitch. If
that
you want to join us on Twitch,
neither
you
party
can
is
look up either
meeting
one of our
people where they're
usernames,
at.
and we are
Oh, I think I found a
sharing
hack to have
some
sweet
stuff over
potatoes
there.
every day for the next 3 months
All
for
right,
like
so
$12.
sorry, let me
I need
just
like
get off
40.
this for a second here.
I don't want to hear Andrew talk about sweet potatoes again. One time was enough.
Yeah, just a reminder because I'm seeing a few new people in here since we just said it. We are live on Twitch, same username. We are screen sharing a lot of stuff on here. TikTok is kind of just like secondary. You'll see us like reacting to TikTok chat as well, but you do not need a Twitch account. You do not need to sign up for anything. You don't even need to download anything. The app is really cool, but you can like watch the stream on your TV even. So it gives you a lot of options here. Yeah, I mean, what do you think first? Do you wanna go first on that?
Yeah, I thought I don't have I would love to hear your take because I think you've been following this a lot closer than I have, but I thought it was a good recap because the online discourse I saw about this campaign over the last couple of days, and we're talking about um Afton, what's her last name?
Afton Bain.
The Tennessee special election,
Yep.
Afton Bain, the special election in Tennessee that really it's like it's been very, to Andrew's point, has been very hyped up, it feels like, by the Democrats, knowing that this wasn't a race they were going to win, and that's okay. The point isn't that whether they win or lose this race. The point was how far they were able to kind of push the needle on this, and people were really looking to this race as like to get a sense of where the electorate was at. And I think, to Andrew's point, it's like we are seeing this unwillingness from the Democrats play out over and over again to run these candidates that are running on working class
45 pounds of
messaging,
sweet potato.
on messaging that speaks to the 99%, messaging that speaks to the people who are going to work every day and speaks to them plainly. We have to speak to people plainly and tell them what these policies mean, paint a picture of a reality that is possible. People think that these ideas are pie in the sky that we're talking about, these leftist ideas. They're not, they're realistic. So yeah, it was interesting kind of to watch this play out over the last couple of days. Curious what your take is. I know you were watching this one pretty closely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's not that I don't know. I'm not a pessimist. I'm trying to tread carefully here with these special elections and these off-year races because they don't tell you like the full picture a lot of the time. And Tennessee is one of those places where on purpose they don't like release, at least I believe on purpose they don't release like a lot of exit polling, but they do release some information on it, and you always want to kind of like read between the lines and see what's going on. And just to give you guys like just a little bit of sense of this district, this is a 40-year Republican stronghold district, right? This is like a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, that like a year ago. Like this is not like 10 years ago. This is recently. Like Trump carried that
Andrew
district.
just joined on TikTok. Andrew, we were just watching your video. We're reacting to you right now. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Absolutely. We appreciate your content and your
New Hampshire after dark.
yeah. We appreciate your insight on Tennessee, and we were just talking about you for sure. Like, I think, I generally my so like, I think there's a lot to take in positive, no matter what. Again, like the amount of money, watching Republicans kind of freak out a little bit was like kind of nice on its own too, that they know like they're not completely unstoppable, because they were freaking out. I mean, they were labeling her like the same thing. I was afraid they were gonna like call her a jihadi or something at some point. Like they're gonna say she's pro Hamas or something. Like the Republicans in Tennessee. Like it's like you can't do it to her, right? Like she's just kind of bulletproof. But honestly, I think there's a lot of good to take out of it. I think there's something that came out of this election too that a lot of people aren't talking about, which is Tennessee just recently like gerrymandered, like just recently, right? I think it was in 2020 they redistricted, which is pretty recent, a pretty recent redistricting. And one of the districts that they like split, because they had like and I might be a little bit off on the exact details. Andy might be able to tell us better, but like they had like a very majority like Democratic district that they split up due to gerrymandering, and they took a district that was very safely squarely Republican is now under threat. And this is something that is like that they don't talk a lot about, that like your threat of gerrymandering, the threat of redistricting is that if you redistrict too much and you have shitty policies, that's gonna like blow up in your face. It's gonna turn around and blow up in your face. And we got a little bit of an inkling of that in like one of the districts in Nashville. I think it's Nashville. No, Davidson County. Davidson County is the district that went blue, right? And again, there was another district that was pretty unsafe too. So there's like some you're gonna see some like blowback from gerrymandering. And I think the one other thing here is that, like Andy said in that video, people aren't stupid. Like the working class voters, they're not stupid, you know, and they saw what kind of spectacle it became. Like when people started throwing their names into the race, like big prominent Democrats started coming in that don't have the greatest, you know, Kamala Harris, I'm not sure is the greatest person to take the Tennessee with you. You know, it's like, and again, I'm just talking about strategy, right? Like it's like taking Liz Cheney to Michigan with you, right? It's the same thing. I would say the same thing. You gotta play I think other people probably would have helped there. Like, you know, I don't know if Donald Brashear or what is it, Brashear from Kentucky. He's a great Democrat. I feel like that's the type of place for him to go and help out, like kind of this affordability, working class messaging, still being able to speak to like the conservative electorate there. That's a little bit more conservative. But Andy's right. Like there's no going halfway anymore, right? Like I think a lot of us are like, we have been going halfway this whole time. I think the whole idea of like voting with the establishment is going halfway. And we're going to go halfway on the halfway now? No, I think that maybe that's why it ran again. My hunch is maybe that's what wasn't able to get them over the hump ultimately, because I think it was 9 points, which is still huge. You talk about 22 to 9 points. That's a 12, 13 point flip in a very short period of time. So
that's the thing, and and that's the power in the message, right? And that's the sort of takeaway for us as we kind of are focusing on what we are here and just continuing to hammer on these messages of very like of not just populism and throwing out these kind of like political buzzwords, but like what do working class people need to hear right now? Because things are really fucking dark and like people just want you to tell it to them straight. And I think the Democrats have historically not been able to do that and not proven that we can do that in any way. And so I think like what's really exciting about this moment is I feel like we're seeing these progressive leftist working class socialist candidates all over the country that are like trying out this new messaging in real time. And I really think we're in this like messaging race right now where it really is a matter of like, how do we start like speaking in a way that's going to get people out to the polls? Because we're in such a dire situation right now. Yeah, and Slari's in the chat on TikTok. If you're here as well, she does a lot of great content that's similar to. She's really focused on Massachusetts. So if you're interested, I would definitely give her a follow as well. And Slary says we gotta focus on turnout though. Blue dots are not really dots, and I think that's a great. It speaks to like what you and I have been talking about as well. Is it's like. I think it goes beyond just like, how do we convince Democrats of this? It really is like such a huge percentage of the population in any of these districts, no matter where we're talking about. A huge percentage of people are not voting. It doesn't matter if we're talking about Tennessee or New Hampshire. People just are not coming to the polls, and we have to give them a reason to energize them to get them to the polls. And it's education, but it's also just a message. It really can be as simple as fucking marketing, right? So we're all in our kind of doing similar work. It feels like all across the country, trying to find these messages that resonate, these tactics that resonate, because the Republicans and MAGA have been running circles around us for years. And it's like, it feels like this whole new push of energy is coming in across the country of people who are like using marketing brains to try to solve this problem for the first time.
Absolutely. And Slary, hey, you're preaching to the choir here. Actually, we're making our own choir now, I think. This is what the Tea Party did, man. You know, like again, I'm gonna repeat it every time we stream because I am gonna keep praising the Tea Party's because this is the world we live in now is because of the Tea Party. This is the logical conclusion of what the Tea Party represented. Like this is they own everything
Mm-hmm.
now, right? And what did the Tea Party start as? They started as a disciplined, like clear, like a morally clear. They pounded their most important issue to their base. There's so many similarities between the Republicans then and the Democrats now. You talk about like 31% GOP approval then. There's 27% now. You know, you talk about people who are just upset with the system. They feel sold out. And again, if it when voter turnout is low, the most dangerous groups of people are the disciplined, high energy groups of people. And that's all you have to what Slary says and to what we talk about all the time is that you have to get people to want to vote. You can't there's a difference between going to the polls because you're excited versus going to the polls because you're scared. You are way more likely going to show up because you are excited. I'm telling you. And when voter turnout is high, Dems win. That's that. It's not like any like when I was a canvasser, low level canvasser. When I was like an organizer, that's what that's what they said. They said when people showed up, when voter turnout is high, Dems win. And when people don't show up to vote, Republicans win. So who works with hope better, who works with fear better? These are and then who's like shutting down accesses to vote, who's trying to expand it. All these things play into that, right? But ultimately it comes down to you cannot shame or scare people into voting. You have to excite them. You have to give them hope. And that's how you drive people to the polls.
Well,
Yeah, go
really
light.
Well-timed
That light knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It was like really.
Yeah, we move mountains over
okay.
here.
Exactly. No, it's hope. It's hope. I think it's that it's and it's hope not for hope's sake, not just for the sake of being optimistic, but the reality is like I think you and I both kind of feel that this is so many of the systems that we rely on to have normal American life are collapsing and are failing us. And so we can sit here and scream about how the sky is falling, or we can start to plan for the future. And what we're doing is planning for the future. And by pushing forward these policies, talking about why they're realistic, helping combat the generations of propaganda that we all have in our minds that are preventing us from believing that these things are real and achievable, is like actually having those conversations and starting to break that down for people. Sina Hans in the chat on Twitch talking about this with some great points, saying the more we can get out of our little circles and have conversations with neighbors, the better. I love to start conversations by just opening the door. What do you care about? How would you make this better? And it's so true because we are like increasingly everyone I've been talking to, especially New Hampshire folks in the last couple of weeks, especially, it feels like the pinch is really coming, right? Like everyone's feeling the pinch of these, and pinch is not a good word. That's a really bad word to use. But like it's we are being squeezed and we're feeling the pain from these policies that are hitting home, and they're really starting to hit hard, and people are suffering. And it's like more and more every day. It's just like, we don't have to live like this. And so we can paint the picture of what the future looks like because other people will want to believe in that future too, but we have so much sort of propaganda in our head of American exceptionalism and why things have to be like this, but they don't. We can all have access to healthcare. We can all have access to universal childcare. We can have access to $20 an hour minimum wage. These things are realistic, but we have to help people understand that it's realistic because we all kind of still believe like all this bullshit about the people who control the money in our government. But all that to say, absolutely, it's the optimism, it's getting people out, and it's getting the people who aren't engaged. To Sina Han's point, is like, how do we get the people that are just like, well, I hate the government. I hate both sides. I hate both parties. It's like, cool, I do too. What next? Right? Like, we can all sit here and complain, or we can panic, or we can talk about how bad it is, or we can start talking about that's what the future can look like. We just need to all get on board. And I think, I don't know. I believe that it's happening. I believe that it's happening slowly, and it's going to happen slowly, but it's now is the time.
Organizing
Ken's,
that is
welcome to the chat.
yes. Welcome everyone. Organizing that, I think, is going to be the thing, you know. And again, this is the, I think we've kind of like, we have aimed for a lot of goals and like what we're doing here. We're not getting paid for this. We actually care about what we want to do. So our time is limited. We want to be able to use it in the places we think we can make the most change. And we truly believe, or I truly believe, I don't want to speak for you, Marissa, I know me and you do agree on a lot of stuff, but to get people to understand that there is a different way, that there are a group of people that are finding themselves waking up, for a lack of a better fucking stupid cliche phrase. I just don't know what else to use there. I just hate it.
You sound like you're on my side of woo-woo TikTok when you talk like that.
Sometimes maybe I am.
With all the astrology girlies.
But like, it's just, I'm seeing people post that don't normally post. People are like interacting with me, like for longtime friends that are apolitical, are not political, or not apolitical anymore. They're asking me questions. They're asking me how they can get involved. These are all signs, right? Like, these are all signs. They're not just, it's not just a sign. It's not just the sign of the times. It's a sign that like people are getting activated. They need a place to direct their energy, a positive place, right? Because again, I've been to the place where it's negative. Like, the negativity it'll hurt you. It'll ultimately, it will break you down too. It's not a fun thing to hold. It is fun to yell on the internet once in a while, but like, don't carry it with you. You want to ultimately just work towards something positive. You want to give some positive hope for people to move towards. And again, I think about the people, when I think about, I just want to paint people a portrait here, because you talk about these different groups that we need to convince to get together and show up on the primary. Who are these groups, right? And for a lack of a better word, because people love throwing words out there, but like, it's the people that aren't normally connected into the political system, however you want to describe them, leftists of all sorts, anarchists, communists, socialists, you know, like any type of anti-capitalist, any type of, because there is no way one group is going to carry this. We have to swallow some things for the greater good for a short period of time. The whole game becomes about convincing people. Can we convince people? That's the game. I'm not saying like, hey, here's the answer, we're going to do it. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder than it sounds, because you are going against generations of disconnection with the system, right? This is a lot of these are not like, it is generations of disconnect with the system. It is propaganda to the most insane levels, anti-government propaganda. That's what this country has always been about. Shitting on government and then gutting it so you can run on shitty government, right? Like, that's what they have done forever. And we can stop that. We can stop that if we can just, and again, I have something pulled up here. This goes into what I'm saying, and TikTok, you can't see this. It is the New Hampshire primary turnout in 2024. In 2024, they forecasted 28%. That's how much they thought was going to show up. 28% of the voting electorate of New Hampshire, the entirety of New Hampshire. Now, let me give you another breakdown. It doesn't say it here, but in deeper in the numbers, it shows it that actually a bigger part of that number is Republicans, because we had an incumbent, and usually it's the other side that gets excited during primaries. There's more of like an excitement for primaries on the non-incumbent side. So the percentage of Democrats there is even lower than that 30%. So less than 30% of registered Democrats showed up to the primary in 2024. 90 plus percent of them showed up to the general. Okay. So that's the game. The game is, if you can get half the people who don't show up to a primary any given year, half of them. Just get them to show up. You're gonna pull that. You are gonna pull off one of the greatest upsets since the Tea Party. You will. You will. And you'll all be a part of it. You will
And
be
this
able
is
to
what
live in that glory forever. Sorry, Marissa.
bask in the glory.
Yeah,
This is why
absolutely.
people will often give us kind of the feedback of like, well, you guys go so hard on the Democrats and you go so hard on the Chris Pappases and the Shaheens and all of these folks. And why do you do that? Why don't you go after the Democrats? This is fucking why. Because people are not showing up for the primaries. And that is when the real decisions are being made. Because in the primary, time and time again, we're saying like, yep, more corporate Democrats that have shown us time and again, they don't give a fuck about us. Yep, that's fine with me. By not showing up, we are continuing to say that, yes, as Democrats, we care about people who care more about their wallets than about their constituents. And so we have to be working towards the primary, and we have to be pointing the finger at these people who have been so culturally disconnected, like you were saying, for generations. Like, there's something in New Hampshire where I don't know what it is, but it's like the more I'm getting into this world and the more I'm talking to people, and like the way that we have all just like accepted these like milquetoast shitty ass Democrats as accurate, as like good representation for us, we take nothing. We take the fucking kibble that they give us and we're like, what a delicious steak dinner. Like, is this inclusion? Wow, I have a woman senator. I have 2 women senator, girl boss. Like, we accept absolute nothing. And so that's why, is because we have to break through all the generations of people who are like, oh, I'm gonna respond to this poll that I'm gonna vote for Stephanie Shaheen because I know the name Shaheen and her mom was nice. I liked her mom, probably, because she was a Democrat and she did things that I like, and Democrats do things that I like. And so that's what we're fighting against. We're fighting against the amount of people who have decided that they don't need to use their own brain when it comes to thinking about what's happening here. They've outsourced it entirely to the Democrats versus Republican system. We are trying to encourage people to break out of that way of thinking, because ultimately the left versus the right is not saving us. It does not help us. And as John Kuiper said in the TikTok comments, Bernie won 2 times, right? These are the policies that people want to win, but we have to get, like, these are the policies. These are the only policies that are going to carry us into a livable future. Okay, we are not going to be in a livable future with Chris Pappas. He is not bringing us into a livable future. And so that we can't accept any less than that. So without going too far down the road about what we can or can't accept, that's why we go so hard in the primaries. And it's interesting to see kind of the data that backs it up.
Yeah, and I think, like, again, the populist messaging is what breaks through everything, right? And again, the more you get in, we're learning, and we have been learning over time, that like these identity politics, like these culture wars, that's what they're trying to pull us into constantly. And if you improve the material conditions of people in general, and there are a lot of studies that go into this, like this is something I studied when I was in college, where like when people's material conditions go up, they're less likely to be racist. They're less likely to be hateful. You know, they're less likely to blame their ills on immigrants. Like, again, I wish that wasn't the case, that it like required them to be good, but that's just like human nature, right? Like when you are good, when you have food on your table, you know, you tend to be more kind. You tend to be a little bit more charitable. You tend to like think about things a little bit more clear. And I think that's something that is I think that's something that's missing too. Yeah, go ahead, Marissa.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think we see that time and time again in like history, in world history, is when people are in an economic disadvantage and they are unable to provide for their families, or they're unable to live with dignity, they then take that out on others, right? We are now living in a cultural environment where we are not all able to live with dignity, and we are seeing people take that out on others. The hate thrives, right? And so then that benefits Republicans, because then they continue to feed the hate cycle, and that gets people to vote more. And it doesn't matter that they're pushing all these policies that are continuing to make the disenfranchisement worse and worse. And so it's just a cycle that never ends. What else in this? There was some good data in this. So this is, what, do you have the Steve Marchand pulled up right now? Is that?
Oh, no, I can pull that up right now. Yeah.
No, we're No, that's okay. We're in the UNH data. Anything else from
No, this is this was
report? We've had a
this was a
lot
different
of good
poll
data.
actually. Yeah, I can show you. So UNH had a poll recently too. We can talk about that really quickly. It's just a few things that they studied. It was like just a couple of important topics because we do know the shutdown was a big deal, right? And we were curious because what was the story, right? That like what was the establishment telling us that like the calls that they were getting, a majority of them were telling them to like open up the government, right? Even though we had like an entire campaign of like calling them and leaving messages, and we filled up every single one of their
Mm-hmm.
voicemails. Like there's like 10 in the state of New Hampshire and a DC one. Like everyone did great there. And they told us that a majority of the calls that they got were to open the government up. So UNH did a poll on this a little bit after the St. Anselm poll. And there's a couple big things that came out of this poll. The first one is a slight majority in New Hampshire overall were pro opening up the government. Slight majority. That includes Republicans, right? 2/3 of Democrats were against opening up the government in New Hampshire. New Hampshire Democrats, okay? 2/3. That falls in line with just about every other statistic I throw out there to you when it comes to Democrats. 70% disapproval rating, 70%, 70% of the electorate wants us to stop funding Israel. 70% of the electorate wants us to have new leadership. They all follow the same line. I mean, the polls at this point, there's no new information that's going to come out. It is the same unhappiness with the decision making of the establishment, and you can't separate the national establishment from the New Hampshire establishment. You can't. They are one of the true soldiers of the national establishment. They are, because of where they are in the primary and they're kingmakers and all that stuff. The other big thing that came out of this, right, is that half the state, again, is for extending subsidies for, that's again, including Republicans, right? So that is bipartisan. This is a bipartisan issue now where you're talking about wanting to extend the subsidies. The other part is the economy in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, the only thing that has ever made Trump competitive in New Hampshire is the economy. That is the thing, that is his buoy in New Hampshire. That has always been by far the most important thing, and it is at an all-time low. His approval in New Hampshire is at an all-time low. What does all this information tell you? Again, we have low energy right now in the Democratic Party. There's low energy in because they are not excited to show up. When have they been excited to show up? Zohran Mamdani, where they set turnout records, right? Like where they showed up en masse, right? So what this is telling you is that it's ripe for the taking, man. New Hampshire is ripe for the taking. It is ripe for the taking for the right candidate to come in here and say the right thing. What's the right thing? What does every poll tell you what the right thing is? Housing. Housing is 5 times more important to New Hampshire residents than anything else. Every sentence that comes out of this is free advice to all the candidates out there, all right? I'm going to charge you next time. Housing. Housing should come out of your mouth with everything. You want to talk about Gaza? How does Gaza connect to New Hampshire housing? It does. Everything connects to New Hampshire housing. Find the connection. ICE. How does that connect to New Hampshire housing? Healthcare. All of these things are connected. And it is the most important. I'm telling you, like, it's not like anywhere else in the country, right? It's housing is important in the rest of the country, but New Hampshire, it is 5 times more important than the number 2 issue. That's bipartisan, across state lines, across party lines. It's affecting everybody. So at this point, the Republicans are even telling you, we don't care. Give us a Democrat if they're going to take our property taxes down. I guarantee you, you run a Democrat out there that is talking about property taxes, they will do whatever you want them to do, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. Anything else? Anything else on this report? We're kind of like sifting through, for those who are following along on TikTok. We're sifting through a bunch of different sort of data and reporting that's come out over the last couple of weeks about. We've got a lot of polling and just some new information that I'm making Aria explain to me, because his brain can retain numbers and mine can't.
John
Where you
Kuiper
can't
was
throw
in my
HBs at me
hometown.
without specifying.
I'm seeing in the chat.
John Kuiper and Pelham.
Yeah, greeting. One of my good friends met with John Kuiper in Pelham. Hey, I'm glad he went into the Sharks' den, or whatever, the Lions' den. Yeah, Pelham, man, I got some gripes with Pelham. Like I love going back there because I love, like, my family was always kind of known as like a liberal family too. So like it was always, and I love like going back there, and like I always used to tell people, like, especially like conservative friends of mine, be like, I'm gonna like wait till I plaster this state blue, and I hope that like you'll remember my face. And I just know Pelham is where I'm gonna. If we push that blue wave through here, I'm planting my personal flag in Pelham. I'm going right into Pelham, my hometown, and being like, you know what? Welcome, welcome to hell now, friends. The massholes have all arrived now.
Oh my
spite.
God.
Oh, spite just drives you sometimes, right? But no, I mean, so this is pretty much telling us, the final one I want to say, telling us what we've known so far. I don't think anything was surprising in this poll. Anything surprising for you? Anything else you want to say about the poll that came out?
No, I think it's interesting, and I just want to caution people who maybe just look at the headlines of these and say like, "Oh, this doesn't look good in some way." Is to know that, like, again, we're looking at a much larger picture here. We're looking bigger than 2026 as well, right? This is not going to be everything changes overnight, but we're seeing signs that are pointing in the direction that where we're headed is where we're pointed is the right direction. And it's the only direction, right? Like there's no other option. There's no planet B, as they love to say, as people love to say. This is just what we have. We're in a situation now where there's no other option. We have to take care of each other. We've got Brie in the comments too. Let's see. We've got some, there's a lot of conversation, I feel like, picking up around some of the bills that are coming in around the legislative session. She said, House Bill 155, Sweeney, Osborne, Berry want to give more tax cuts to corporations, guts $43 million from New Hampshire annual revenue over 3 years. I mean, it's really crazy. They'll probably vote on it in January. Call your state reps. So yeah, we're like, guys, we got to start flexing the muscle, right? It's time to start, like, the legislative session is going to come in hot, and it's going to come in really fast. We're having a lot of conversations on the side with people about how we can best, like, mobilize this community to meet this moment, because there's absolutely going to be an onslaught of, like, really fucking batshit crazy bills, and we're going to be putting a lot more fucking pressure on this year. So get your boots on. That's all I got to say on that. But
yeah, I mean, I think there's a role for everyone. I think, like, there's this. We're going to be straightforward here. Like, I found out Maggie Goodlander joined TikTok, and I'm not mincing words. About how I feel about Maggie Goodlander. Like, I mean, just like,
well, like, you don't want to talk about. You were being very polite, and you didn't want to talk about somebody who, like, wasn't in the room. It's not nice to talk about somebody who's, like, not at the party, but now she's at the party.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly that. You know what? That is such an amazing analogy. That's like the perfect way to put it. She didn't have a TikTok account. Chris Pappas didn't either for the longest time. And Stephanie Shaheen just rebranded hers to Stephanie Shaheen. They are entering the game now. And listen, we don't want to toot y'all horns. We want you to keep being motivated, but we think all of you had something to do with this. Okay. We think all of you,
100%,
in NHTalk had something to do with the sudden influx of incumbent Democrats with weird social media teams. Because some of these posts are weird, right? Like, it's like it's I don't know if ChatGPT is telling them what to do here, like, and they're just following it exactly to the word. But that's exactly what it was. Maggie Goodlander wasn't here, so I wasn't gonna make cross post stuff with her. I spent a lot of time on TikTok, but once she entered, it's like, once you're in the arena, Here we go. I've been waiting. We've been waiting for you.
God.
In a positive
Oh my
way,
God.
brother.
100%. And I'm dying. Oh my God. I want to be really clear because I know that somebody's going to be like, I'm going to get a fucking DM about this. And I just want to be clear. Like, we are not that I shouldn't say, I love DMs. We're not telling anybody to like cyberbully anyone. We're not trying to like send attack dogs out on these fucking people on the internet. That is not what we're trying to do. But you know what I do think is important? I think it's really cool that when I see a Chris Pappas video, it doesn't land on my feed until 2 weeks later because I don't fucking follow that man. I will not give him my follow and I will not give him any of my engagements except for negative comments. But when that video lands on my feed after it's been circulating for 2 weeks and there's 40 comments, all from people on NHTalk talking about how he takes so much fucking money from APAC, my Grinch heart grows 3 sizes every time I see that because I don't think that's cyberbullying. I don't think that's cyberbullying. I think we're in a moment where people are not. I'm screaming. My kid is on the other side of the wall. I'm used to her being at daycare when I do this. Sorry, honey. Mommy got a little worked up about Chris Pappas again. I'm so sorry. There.
Dude, she's gonna hate chicken tenders growing
they're
up.
not.
She's gonna be like the worst chicken tendy hater on earth. You're raising over there.
She's 3 years old now, so it's all she eats. And I'm like, don't get those fucking pieces of shit little tendies in my house. Get them out of here. But it's not cyberbullying because he doesn't pick up the phone and he won't talk to us and he hasn't done a town hall in over a year and he's avoiding his constituents. And what else am I supposed to do? Like, Brie, I have 2 white noise machines going. There's only so much we can do. It's an old house, thin walls. She'll be stronger for it. Yeah, I'm glad they're here. I'm glad that they're being forced to see this input in a new way. And I do think it's important. I'm being funny about it, but I think it's important that if one of these hypothetical people that we're talking about that lives in a world of, well, I just kind of clock in for, the general elections and I vote for Democrats and then I feel good about it because, they represent different groups that like, oh, well, Chris Pappas is queer and I'm queer, or, oh, well, they're women and I'm women. And like, that's great. And because sincerely, some people, and I don't mean to like boil it down to that, but my point is like, some people just are not engaging in the nuance of what is happening with these people and the war crimes that are being enabled by these people and the lack of the indifference they have towards their constituents. And it's really abysmal. And we have been harmed by their choices time and time again. And so it's important to me that when Chris Pappas has a silly little video that pops up on somebody's feed and someone's like, oh, that's my rep, I think. Let me take a look at what his and it's all receipts. That's important to me. I like that it's all receipts about what he's been doing because people have a right to understand the full picture. And so I think that it's important that we all participate in this way because this is the world we live in, whether you like it or not. I don't really like it. I don't really like that we have to do all this shit on social media. I don't really like that like progressive politicians have to become fucking influencers to make any kind of movement in polls. I don't like it. I don't think it's good, but like that's where we're at. And so that's the game that we have to play. And these are the tools we have. And these are the affordable tools that we have that people who are progressive and not getting PAC money and not getting money from their family business or their like insanely rich families. This is the last thing, and then I'm going to hand this back to you to talk more about data. But I learned this week that Stephanie Shaheen's campaign, both of her adult children, like her daughters that are in their 20s or something, both contributed $7,000 to their mom's campaign, which is the max amount they're allowed to contribute. And that just was like such an insane piece of information to me because I'm like, what 23-year-olds or however old they are has access to that kind of money that then they can gift to their mother for their campaign.
So
like
relatable.
It just stinks. It stinks. It stinks like little chicken tender feet. I don't like it. It's like disgusting. I just like a bad little smell and I just feel very weird about it. So anyway, candidates who don't have that kind of money have to resort to using stuff like this. And so we need to use these tools to support the progressive candidates, to support the progressive ideas, call out what's happening that people don't know about that they need to know about.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it for my Pappas rant of the moment.
That's perfect. I mean, I don't have much to add. It's just I want people to. I think what you said about them not being available to us is spot on. The fuck are we supposed to do? You know, like we are following all the rules. We're calling. They're not calling us back. They're not responding. They're even lying about our calls. So at a certain point, it's
Do you know
like,
that?
go ahead.
Sorry, it just reminded me too that there was like a situation that in I think 2024 there was 5 peace activists who got that Chris Pappas had arrested in his office because he was refusing to answer their calls about him accepting AIPAC money and him supporting and voting again and again in support of arming Israel. And so these activists were trying to get a meeting with him. One of them was in a wheelchair, one of them was elderly, and one of them was pregnant. And he had these people arrested. And it's just the most like insane shit. It's like what kind of thank you. That was fast. What do we do? What else do we do? Right? You're telling me that this is the best that we can do, that I need to fucking vote for Chris Pappas again, the person who had 5 activists arrested, one of who was elderly, one who was in a wheelchair, one was pregnant. I'm sorry. Are you fucking kidding me right now? What kind of like fascist ass bullshit? And that's under the fucking Biden administration. So like, anyway, this is not new. It's not a good situation. So thank you guys for letting them know how you feel. I think it's an important part of our civic duty.
Yeah, these are you're just connecting the dots, man. You know, like you're not. These are like again, you talk about like you because listen, like every time you bring up the Biden administration or Pappas, like someone will turn around and be like, well, Trump. You know, like it's like the second you open your mouth about like, well, yes, Trump, but like, what allowed Trump? What allowed Trump? You know, it's like no one wants to talk about what allowed Trump. Trump's a system. A symptom. He's not like a disease. He's a symptom of something that you just allowed, that you were a part of. Let's be real. You supported because
Yeah.
capitalists support each other, right? Like that's ultimately what it is. And again,
I think there's
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, just the very
There's
last.
this is just
Sorry,
yeah, go for it. Wrap it up.
the very last point is when they push it, when Chris Pappas, right, enters TikTok or Maggie Goodlander enters TikTok, that is a function of your power. Again, you need to look at that as a little win. I want people to look at that as a little win. When they come online, you are pushing them a little bit to the left, even if it's incrementally. You are forcing them into this space, which is not a super safe space for them. You're forcing them to look at this stuff, right? And that is important. That's so important. Even if you don't get like a visceral reaction from it. Sorry, I'm so forgetful. I was gonna forget what I was gonna say, and people make fun of me.
No, me too. That's why I was literally typing it and I just put it in our chat so I didn't forget what I was going to say. I was like, don't do it, Marissa. Don't fucking lose your train of thought. Come on, man. Pull it together. This is why we both fight over. No, you talk, because we're never going to forget. Okay. My point was to bring up, just to circle back to the idea that like, I feel like from a broader messaging perspective, when we're talking to Democrats, we're either talking to Democrats that accept the idea that the parties are 2 wings of the same bird, essentially, or we're talking to people who don't feel that way, right? And I think a lot of the people that we're talking to in these very left-leaning online spaces have that kind of understanding or are operating from that shared belief that no, I'm not going to say tit for tat are Republicans or Democrats just as bad. That's not the point of what I'm saying. The point is they are both working together to keep this shit flying, right? Like they are both working together to keep the bird in the air. And so a lot of people aren't ready to accept that yet because that is a really hard thing to wrap your head around. If you've spent your whole life and like your belief system is aligned with the fact that the Democrats are helping you and that the Democrats are helping protect people and that the Democrats are looking out for people, if you believe that in your heart, it's actually really hard, I think, to let go of that. And so I think that's why coming back to what we keep talking about is like focusing less on party and more on just the messaging about what are the values and what can we change? What is the vision for the future? What is the vision for the future where we all have human dignity, we all have access to the healthcare we need, we all have access to care for our children, we all have access to like the basics to have a dignified human life. And so that's why if we can, as we're having those conversations with our neighbors, as we're getting outside of these online spaces and talking to people in the real world, not trying to move away from any of the party discussion, I have found to be really helpful, and just trying to step back from that and to focus on the policies, on the messaging, because ultimately when you look at them side by side, it's very obvious where we need to be.
No, it's all
Yeah.
go ahead. Chat.
No, go.
Just want to check. No, I was just
Yeah,
gonna
I'm just
say.
gonna read in the chat.
I was gonna say like the ultimate. Should have just fucking went. I always fucking like if I'm like on the cusp of something.
I know. When
so
Arya and I started doing these lives together, I had to like
tough.
give him a pep talk and be like, Arya, it's okay. Like, you don't have to worry about cutting me off. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm giving you permission. You're not talking over me. It's okay. No, it'll come back to you. Let's go. Any other poll data? I want to make sure we get to all of it, because I feel like you had some good thoughts on all that polling stuff that came through. I want to make sure we touch on that.
No, I mean that was pretty much it that I've studied so far, along with the Anselm polls, the St. Anselm polls, which are important, right? Which are giving us a lot of information about just the general state of Democrats, which is pretty depressed right now. It's like a pretty depressed state, and I just okay, I remember. So just based on what you were saying, touching on earlier, which is like this party conversation, right? And it happens in so many different areas. It's not just labeling your party. It's labeling your gender. It's labeling your who you voted for. It's labeling your religion. It's labeling your ethnicity, your cultural background. These are all ways, right, to divide us and set up traps for us. And again, to touch on what I said before about how increasing the material conditions of people, right, like their quality of life. If you raise that for everyone, they're less likely to hate. They're less likely to hate you for all those, or care about all those things. Because again, what the fuck do you care what party I am when I want to lower your property taxes, when I want to lower your rent? It's so. This is where and I don't speak to people like this when I'm trying to explain it to them. I'm speaking to them in my alter ego, which Marissa likes to say, my educating, soothing alter ego. I like to explain to people that, like, we all pay rent, man. You know, like, why is it that the letter in front of my name or who I have voted for historically matters, that I want to help you? Like, you think this is a trap? You know, like, I want to help you. You're voting for the Democrat. Oh my God, scary Democrat wants to help you. Again, like, these are the ways that they have weakened us. They have separated us. They've divided us by those labels, by those identity politics, the culture wars, right? And again, if you look at something, I just want to give you guys the perfect example. I got to find the exact stats on this. On trans rights issues, right? You would think, based on how much Republicans and right-wingers talk, that leftists and liberals, that's all we talk about, right? Based on how much they talk about it, it's like, this is what all leftists and liberals talk about, right? No, they did a study and they found out that a lot of trans-based conversations, which started from like a negative place, which is like, oh, trans people in sports, right? Which is like their whole thing, right? It started from there, and they recycle their stories into each other. They turn it into a big deal. They rev up their own base. It's this cycle of victimhood that they've gotten so good at. And you're wondering, you look at liberals and leftists, and again, the people that I follow are not making like LGBTQ or trans rights, like, they're not making it seem like it's a more important issue than any other working class issue, right? Because ultimately, when you increase material conditions of people. You help everybody. You are helping every marginalized community. You are helping every group. I'm not saying groups don't need more help than that. There are marginalized groups that need more support and more help than that. No, I'm not saying that. But one place you start attacking propaganda directly is you go after people's material conditions. You ask them, why does it matter who I voted for if what I'm trying to give you is better than what anyone has given you in the past?
I think like I found it, at least in my conversations, to be very powerful. And this is also, to be clear, this is like coming from a very like cis privileged position as well, because I know we have a lot of folks in our community who are trans and who are in a much different experience having these kind of conversations. And
Mhm.
so those of us who do hold this kind of privilege, and if we are, when we are coming up against these conversations, it's important for us to like quickly correct. This is typically what I try to do. If there's misinformation being spread, I try to quickly shut it down and correct and move on and say that this is a distraction, and point out to them that this is a distraction, because and move it back to topics that are need to be top of mind, right? The only issue that trans rights is top of mind is because Republicans are putting it under attack so much. And so if we can move into a new world where this doesn't have to be a topic in the way that it is today. And so I think it's important that we try to like redirect those conversations and bring it back.
And that's our goal,
I
right? That's our
wanted to,
job. I just want to say really
yeah,
quick, that's our job because our party's not doing that for us, right? I think that's the problem, right? Our party, our leaders, is not actively pushing back on this propaganda, on
yeah.
this bullshit. And it's like they're the ones that have the voice, like, and so we do have to step up now and be those types of people and be more clear, more morally. Sorry, I didn't mean to, yeah, but continue.
So I was gonna shift gears a little bit actually and talk about some of this data that came out from Steve Marchand. So if you are somebody who's been a long time participant in the New Hampshire political conversation, he's a great voice to follow. He has a Substack and he puts out a lot of great in-depth reporting, and he talks about the races in great detail. And in a moment where like I find it very hard to get this kind of like level of analysis, there's not that much information out there on some of these races that we're talking about a lot. So it was really, really some great reporting. The Politics of New Hampshire is what the Substack is called. Steve Marchand is the guy who writes it. And so he did this really great deep dive that I don't have the capacity to like translate because it's just not my skill set. And so maybe Aria will get compelled and dig into it a little bit more as well. Not to give you homework assignment, but I wanted to flag it for you guys because he just did this really great data dump about the directions that we're seeing trend, where we're sort of seeing things trend in different areas of New Hampshire, and specifically like what towns and districts are moving more to the left or right, and kind of categorizing them by where we have the strongest opportunities to move the needle when it comes to the state house, right? So if you're just joining us today, if you are not tuned into what is happening in New Hampshire, we have 400 state representatives. We have one of the largest governing bodies in the entire world here in New Hampshire. So we have 400 state reps. They do not get paid in any real way. They get paid about $100 per session, which means our state house has been taken over by the Free State Movement, which is a libertarian adjacent movement full of people who are trying to just dismantle our government, take apart all of our programs, and take away everything that like makes living possible. So it's a really dire situation. And while we're talking a lot about what's happening in the federal level right now as it relates to New Hampshire, we're going to start seeing conversation ramp up really quickly again around what's happening in Concord. And we are very much ready and eager to make that shift as well. And so this is just kind of my call. And Sinahan put out some great content about this. She put out a great video today as well about running for office. And if it's not you, is it somebody you know? And how do you start having that conversation with people and asking people to run? And what I think is important is that everybody knows that there's like some real dumb fucking idiots in the state house. You don't have to be that. You can probably win. Like it's there's so many state reps. There's a good shot that you can win. Take a look at some of these numbers and take a look at what your district looks like. And if you're somewhere that's on the bubble, so yeah, and Sinahan's saying like they'll never leave a seat open. Like we have to run people, right? And even if, I think it was Ben, who's on TikTok, I don't think he's here today, but he's in the NHTok community, was posting about how important it is for the Democrats to be running candidates, even in these deep red districts. That way, the Republicans need to spend more money on those districts, and we can drain a little bit of their resources. Because Ben Meng, thank you, Sinan. I wasn't. So it's important for us to like really be starting these conversations now. Have these conversations with the people in your community that you deal with. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but like people need to be asked a handful of times before they consider running for something. And like with women, it's like 2 or 3 times as high. Like women need to be asked like 1,000,000 times before they actually seriously consider running for something. And so if you have people in your life that you think might be open to it, start working on it now. Start working on them. See, not 7. Thank you. I think Ken's probably is the one who told me that stat is that women have to be asked 7 times before they will make the decision to run. So be that voice for other people. If you can't do it yourself, or you're not interested, or you're not able to do it yourself, start looking at your circles around you, start looking in your neighborhood, start having those conversations with people, and like make it something that you talk about, right? Like like my friend group now has to like know way more about New Hampshire politics than they want to because of me, and because this is like what I talk about now, and this is what I'm like now obsessed with, and I'm trying to not be, but everyone in my life is sick of hearing me talk about it. But that's a problem for therapy. But my point is now all my friends hear about it, and so we're having a lot more conversations openly about like what does that look like? What does it look like in a couple years when all these toddler moms that I hang out with are like running for school board and like taking shit over? Cause I'm like, let's start scheming, my girls. Let's go. And so let's all start bringing that energy to our friends, but also just the conversations we're having with neighbors, the conversations we're having with people in our community, conversations we're having at drop off. I live and die by daycare drop off. But like, think about the people that you're interacting with. How can we start bringing this stuff up? How can we start talking about it? Now is the time to really get comfortable having these conversations, because once things ramp up in January, it's gonna be pretty fast and furious, and there's gonna be a lot of like really scary, intense shit that's coming out of the state house again, and we're gonna be more prepared for it this time. I'm gonna be more prepared for it this time. I don't know about where were you? You weren't even on TikTok last year at in Jan, like during the legislative session. You kind of came in the summer, so you're going to be.
Yeah,
It's
I
going to
mean,
be an interesting ride.
I was on TikTok, but not in a really political way. I was more of a lurker. I was more active on other things. But yeah, no, I mean, I think I think it's things are going to be much different this time. At least I sense this energy. It's a populist energy that I haven't really felt since like 2016. I'm gonna be honest with like the Bernie camp, which was like a crazy. It was a crazy race between really. I mean, the Bernie and I thought it was like if Bernie ran against Trump, I thought he would have won like in a landslide because it was a populist election. People were into populist policies at that point, and Bernie had won New Hampshire on those policies. So, so I did do a little bit of breakdown. I haven't dug really deep into these numbers yet, but I'll give you guys a little bit of just things that I pulled really quickly skimming from this article, right? What Steve Marchand is doing pretty much is he's giving you like a blueprint here of something he calls PVI, which is your what's the word he uses? It's like a how like red areas are and how blue areas are, right? And he's trying to like figure out the fluctuations where the best where you have like the best places to get your votes and to pick up gains versus areas that are maybe turning a little bit more red, because there are areas like that too. And surprisingly, he said 2 of the areas that seem to be kind of sketchy for Democrats is Manchester and Nashua. And I'm gonna have to like read a little bit more into that. I have my own theories as to why that's the case. He does mention in the article something about retiring There are some older reps in Manchester that are going to probably retire, and you might have some close races there for their seats. Same for Nashua. And my theory is that people are getting pushed out of these cities, man. You know, like your working class people are getting pushed out of these cities. And what's happening now is like again, he doesn't just say there's a democratic erosion. He clearly says, and I wrote this down, he clearly says that the erosion is happening in, urban blue collar and non-white democratic voters. So those are working class voters. Okay, those are the democratic bedrock voters in Nashua and Manchester, right? Which are, again, democratic bedrock cities of New Hampshire, right? Generally, they're I mean, especially Nashua is like it's crazy. Being so close to Massachusetts too. And he said that so he mentions in this graph, he kind of points out, and you can see in like the top left of the graph. I don't know if you can see can you pull the graph up? Can you show the graph on here? The actual dot graph. There you go.
I forgot that I was screen sharing. Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's all good. So this is important too, right? And he says it right there. I'm really interested in most of the dots in the upper left corner of this chart. Places that have Republican PVIs, but which are moving quickly towards Democrats. What are some of the districts in that quadrant, right? And he said, and I wrote these down too. He says there are two groups of these towns, right? And this is just good information for you guys to have. I think having demographic information is so important for everyone. So sorry if this is a little bit boring. I'll try to make this a little bit more palatable for people in the future.
It's a bunch of fucking dorks. There's dorks in the chat. There's a bunch of big nerds in the chat. Let's be honest. It's a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yeah. So, I mean, so to break it down, he is interested to see what these towns are and what they have in common. Why are they dark red, moving fast to blue? And he broke this down into two groups, right? One of them he called suburbanizing towns, rural areas that are increasingly acting like suburbs, right? So like Hollis, Brookline, Hooksett. These places are pulling in a lot of people from Manchester and Nashua. Those voters that are leaving Manchester and Nashua are entering these are turning these places more into like liberal suburbs, right? The other one is wealthy, educated communities, right? So towns with like older, affluent, and well-educated residents, towns like Bristol, Sunapee, Meredith, Wolfboro, Tuftonboro. I didn't even know that was a fucking town. Sorry, New Hampshire, Tuftonboro.
Tuftonboro.
Yeah,
that sounds like an upper class.
Gotta have someone running there, someone real good. But no, this is all very important data. It's all very detailed data. I am going to, maybe we can talk to Steve Marchand at some point and see if, like, you know, have him give us a little bit of information, some deep diving information.
Think we can get him on Twitch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because these are the types of things, when the Tea Party did what it did, these are the most important things that we can find out with the towns we choose to attack. Because I want you guys to be clear on something right now. None of these progressive candidates are going to outraise the incumbents, I don't think. I'd be very surprised.
No.
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Right? So the amount of energy that we put here is limited. There's only so much energy that we have as a collective to put into this. It's boring shit like this graph that is going to give us the map to where we put that information. I don't know how else you want me to say it. I'm one of you guys, man. This shit's boring as fuck. But it is so important for us. It is an important map for us to know which towns, like Tuftonboro, is worth looking at. Right? These are the important metrics we have to look at when we get into state and local politics, because that's what the Tea Party did. Let me remind you, you're gonna get annoyed with me bringing them up. But the Tea Party, 10, 15 years down the line, is this hellhole that we're in now. Everything that they wanted, they got. They got it. They got everything. They own every piece of government. Like it's insane what this small group of people did. And it shouldn't make you scared. It should give you hope. That's what it should do. It should give you hope. They did it in your lifetime, and it's not impossible.
Didn't take that long, honestly, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I love this stuff. I think I think it's really important because as we talk about, and I'll shift gears, I'm going to share I'm going to share some TikToks that we can kind of use to bring us home here. But one of the things that I spend a lot of time thinking about is like, what are the best ways to like activate? Like, how do we all, as people who are social media users in whatever way? Now, I know everyone doesn't create content, but a lot of people, how to use these platforms. How do we use these platforms to actually make a difference? And there's something, and I know TikTok's terrible, and I know that it's owned by Larry Ellison, and I know that it's like censoring the shit out of everybody, and it's awful. But it is also extremely effective at connecting people in a geolocation, right? And so it is still a really powerful tool for what we're trying to do here. And so like, even looking at this map, I'm like, how do we use this data to identify like, okay, that's already in our community lives in these towns, and how do we support them to come up with like, how do we leverage your account as a representative for this community to talk more about what's going on in this community, and try to find other people in your community that maybe are on TikTok but are not seeing political content. Because that's also what I keep trying to harp on when people are asking me about like how to use these social media accounts, is that yes, the geography matters and the hashtags matter. So if you post something with hashtag NHTalk, it's not just going to go to this group of 1,000 people who consume that content. It's going to also go to, if it's Sinahan, it's going to go to like her network of other things she talks about. She talks about being a mom. She talks about her experience with all these other parts of her life. That makes her network so much richer, right? And so to tap into all of those different networks is where you start to really get out there. And yeah, Sinahan, it does not surprise me that you have an annoyingly large network. Like all of the, like so many people that are here are not just like sitting bullshitting. Like I am the most useless person on NHTalk. I'm just like sitting here talking shit, right? But like people are out there doing real stuff. I'm doing real stuff too. I'm not trying to talk, whatever. I'm just trying to make a dumb joke. Anyway, I think that seeing what these guys are doing is really important. Reaching your networks is important. And so how do we use this data, pair it with what we know about the social community that exists and about these social networks and how they work? And how do we use that to come up with a plan of action to like really help get into these local communities? Any other thoughts on that? I'm going to pull up some of the TikToks.
No, I mean, I think
we were talking about.
We are constantly trying to figure out ways to break the algorithm, to get to break through things, to break through messaging. Messaging is going to be so important for us as a movement, as a part of a greater progressive movement as well. It's one of my biggest criticisms of the Democratic Party and liberals in general is that they just suck at messaging. They're not terrible at governing. Like they're not the worst governors ever. Like I just wish they were better at like just talking about the things they're good at and like moving on things that are popular with their voters. And it's time for us to convince them, right? And again, that's the messaging that I want to keep telling people too throughout all of this, is that we are not about like, we're not trying to harass anyone or like mob anyone here. What we're trying to do as a movement here is get loud enough that like people start paying attention. And if that means, again, I just want to paint a picture where if that means Chris Pappas and Maggie Goodlander agree to not take another dollar of APAC money, like that is amazing. Like that is a win. You're all like, and we should be looking at that. Remember, if we're getting stuff like that, that is winning. Winning these races is not the ultimate race. Even if we can incrementally move them, that is what we want to do. Remember, every piece of that is very important. Child marriage, my lord, this fucking escalated quickly.
I'm sorry. I'm dead. Somebody in the comments is saying the 1-2 punch of that, and then somebody in the comments saying this is the perfect example of the Parks and Rec episode trying to sex up fluoride. Gonna make that fluoride sexier. It's like that's so true. Oh my god, that's so funny. All right. So yeah, we're going to shift gears to child marriage. No, but talking about these algorithms and how do you break through you like my gentle transition. um so I want to start pulling in more examples of like people who I think are doing very like cool stuff on social media that like I'm obsessed with. And so if you're not already following New Hampshire Youth Movement on social media, they're like killing it. They're doing so much fun, like funny stuff, but also like effective, right? And so when we talk about messaging, they're doing a really good job. And so I'm just going to show this and stop talking, and then we can.
How many state reps voted for child marriage last year?
I hope the answer is 0, but
for child marriage.
Yeah.
Like adults marriage.
Like someone over the age of 18 marrying someone under the age of 18.
I would hope 0.
Yeah, you would hope so. There's 400 state reps. So it's a big number.
Why it's not 0?
I hope it's 0. But
5. Is that you agree or what do you say?
Do you agree?
There's got to be more than that. There's a lot of beats here.
Like above 50? I know. 78. 178.
You serious?
Yeah. It's pretty fucking crazy.
That is fucking crazy.
Pretty insane.
I fucking hope it's 0.
Yeah, 178.
What? Pedophile! Oh my god! Yeah. We gotta get this checked out.
So I thought that was a really great post for a lot of reasons. And I think this is like, I share this just as inspo to like get people's wheels turning, because I think Ken's has done a really cool kind of campaign with Moms Rising, where she has released this burn book where they talk about like all the insane shit that some of these representatives are saying and doing and voting on. But this is a perfect example of like a lot of young people, a lot of the people who are going to college here who are eligible voters have no idea how intense the situation is and how bad it is and how like we're joking about it and laughing about it, but it's like, this is like deeply fucked up. And so the way that they were able to make a video that educated, showed how, like, is viral in nature. It's like engaging, and people are going to want to repost it, because now people want to repost that to their feed and be like, oh my God, did you guys know that like everybody's into child marriage? Like, that's important. It's important for us to start having those conversations. And so I thought this was a great example of how we all should start thinking. And like, I think they're doing an amazing job. And so definitely make sure you're following their account.
No, these are great points. And I just really quickly on the youth too. One big thing. Did you see the article? It just reminds me, the article that the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute had on their TikTok about how something like 57 or 58%, it's like the second highest state. New Hampshire college students leave New Hampshire to go to college, right? And there is a number of voters there that can still vote in New Hampshire, because a very small percentage of college students register in the state that they move to. Like it barely, I mean, it's a very minuscule number. So there are, like, again, when you talk about their avenues here of groups of people that are very high energy, college students are very high energy. The stat that I've given here before is, again, something like 20-something% of 18 to 20-year-olds voted in the primary, and 90% of those registered vote for the person that probably registered them. So there are massive opportunities here in New Hampshire. Gen Z New Hampshire is, as you can see, they're very enlightened. I think they're ahead of the game versus a lot of other states. They are more politically attuned, but they need to be. Again, I have this vision. Sorry to bring you on this ride, Marissa. I have this vision where it was another one of these culture wars that has always been created between millennials and Gen Z, right? But I believe that like millennials and Gen Z can create such a fucking partnership here if we can just get over the manufactured culture war between our two ages. Friends, Gen Z, you will never feel what we felt, and it's okay. Like that, this period that we're going through is something that no other age no other generation has gone through what we have gone through, both economically and with the things that have happened, and our lack of housing, and like again our lack of political power. The boomers hanging on for dear life, you know, like these. It's a very interesting time in society, but if we can just convince the 19, 20, 21, 22 year olds that, like, listen, it sucks right now, but you have no idea how much better it can be in a relatively short period of time if y'all just trust us, right? Like, and again, and we trust you, right? We move as an amoeba here. We move as an organism here, that we don't separate each other, because let's be real. And I don't want to generalize, like super generalize, but like demographic our demographics have way more to lose than the boomers do. Like, and we need to start working together. We need to start working together and start building the future for y'all. Because again, I'm 40, man. You know, like like I'm not prancing in fields these days. You know, like but y'all are prancing in fields. You know, you guys are still partying and shit. Like you guys that American dream is coming still. Like, and I just feel like I talk to Gen Z and the hopelessness. It sucks, man. Y'all are like, you guys have to have the most hope, and I feel like that's something that we have to be cognizant of as millennials and Gen Xers. That like there is a sleeping giant in Gen Z. There is a sleeping giant that just needs to be like soothed into care, that like it's not over yet, guys. Like, let's go. We got this. We'll do it. We can do it with you, and we will do it as a team. And we don't have to like, because that's what it's gonna take. The boomers have too much, and they're not gonna let it go. They're not. It's gonna be clawed from their cold hands. And you guys are more limber than we are, so we're gonna need you out there
to do all of our field frolicking together. We're really going to need the able-bodied youth to help keep us going.
Man. I'm doing the hard work here. Really nice. I'm motivating y'all to get out there. God, we all have a role.
This was what I think I put out a video that was like, oh, we're like your like loud older cousins who don't shut the fuck up about leftist politics, and we're really living up to that right now. Just come on, young people. You're so funny with your internet memes and your jokes. Tell me about them. Back in my day, we had a Charlie bit my finger, and it was very funny. We loved it. What else do I have? I want to show you one other video. Also, the chat really just, if you're not in the Twitch chat, like, you guys have to get in the Twitch chat. The lore is getting deep now, like the NHTok lore. Like now we've got like the Pat and Sinahan muffin beef of 2025. Like I really like we're just getting, where's this 47? What the fuck? I'm sorry, Ari gets to be 25 and I'm 47. I'm like not following all the chat here, but I don't like now. I'm saying nice things about the chat and now they're talking some shit about me.
They said I didn't say nothing.
It. Muffin beef. Okay. Yeah, Bree, you are on the wrong app. If you're following on TikTok, we're sharing screens on Twitch. So we recommend joining us on Twitch. We're really just doing this to tell you guys that we're live on Twitch is the answer. Muffin beef stickers, we can sell them and we can donate the funds to mutual aid. That's my new big plan. Okay, we're going to watch this video. We talked about this. Actually, let me see. I need to figure out how to play like at 1.25 speed or something. I don't think I can do that on here. I need to figure it out. Anyway, all right, this is like 2 minutes. So everybody just like relax.
Wait, one hot second. Did you catch that? Did you see that? That is former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu spotted right behind Donald Trump in the Oval Office. And you might be asking yourself, what the hell is that New Hampshire boy doing hanging out with Donald Trump in the White House? Well, it's a little thing called revolving door politics, and it is the epitome, I mean, the very definition of corruption in American politics today. It's got a whole Wikipedia entry and everything. This is when politicians or high-level government officials move between roles, becoming lobbyists and using all of their government ties to help bend the rules and help large corporations get around the law, or sometimes even just write brand new laws that benefit them. Former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, for example, he is the president and CEO now of Airlines for America. It's a special interest group for major airlines. They spend millions of dollars to lobby the government on their behalf. And we are already seeing some of the fruits of Sununu's efforts in that role, with the Trump administration now rolling back policies.
If you're just joining in on TikTok, we are
when their
watching,
flights are outrageously delayed. Yeah, we don't get that
now.
anymore.
We've got about a minute left.
Thanks to Chris Sununu. And this is the exact same thing New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte did. After she stopped being a senator for New Hampshire, she went to work for private equity firms and used all of her government connections to help those firms and help herself. It's also the exact same thing Chris's brother, John Sununu, the guy running for Senate in New Hampshire, did himself. John was a U.S. Senator for New Hampshire for one term, and then immediately stayed in D.C., working on the boards of pharmaceutical companies, banking companies, and even big oil companies. But here's the thing about revolving door politics. Every once in a while, you have to go back in government to refresh your government stuff. Your connections, your experience, what have you. It's the only way to maintain
so nice. Thank you, whoever did that.
salary in the lobbying industry. That's why Ayotte went back to public office now as governor of New Hampshire. And that's why John Sununu is doing another run at Senate after a decade away from government. He just needs to refresh his brand and his connections in order to keep making the big lobbying bucks like Chris is now making. That is serious money. Keep it here at the Granite Post, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, so now you guys can't talk shit about me about not talking about Republicans ever, because this is me talking shit about Republicans too. So I'm gonna stop screen sharing now. But that was a Granite Post video. Granite Post is great. We talk a lot about local media's struggling, but they're great. Colin specifically does a lot of really great social content, and I think this is like a really good explainer and an example of, I think, what is helpful to contextualize some of this stuff for folks, right? Because I think as we're talking about these family dynasties and we're talking about this revolving door politics, as he called it, and this idea of like essentially people are just like shuffling around positions and then doing their stints in the private sector and making as much money as they can. And we're very much seeing this on the Democratic side too, friends. We're very much seeing this on the Democratic side too. We're seeing family members shift in and out, and it's everybody is like benefiting from this ecosystem of profit. And so I just wanted to flag that just because it was interesting. We talked about it in the live when it happened a little bit, and just this idea that it connected to, you know, the airlines and what was happening with Jade Shaheen and Maggie Hassan voting to reopen the government, and just these relationships all exist, right? And it's just very interesting. And I just thought it was worth pointing out. And I also wanted to flag as an example of, number one, someone you should be following is follow Granite Post if you're not already. On TikTok and on all the other socials. They do some really great local coverage. And that's a great kind of idea for a format. If you want to do a little bit of a deep dive on something and you want to go into detail, helping explain the bigger picture and kind of paint the picture of all these connections for folks, I think is really important, because like we were saying earlier, so many of us, especially people who are born and raised in New Hampshire, have just been sort of raised to believe that this is normal, and we've all just become accustomed to this. And so when you start painting the picture and connecting the dots and pulling out the red string, if you will, it really does paint an important picture. So I thought this was another good one to take a peek at for the class.
No, it's a great point, and I think when people talk about the uniparty system, that's exactly what they're talking about, right? Like it showed like a clip of like Kelly Ayotte, and it was like she left and was on the board of Blackstone. And Maggie Goodlander, her second highest corporate PAC donorship is investors from Blackstone. Yeah, and what's Blackstone? It's owns real estate. What is New Hampshire's biggest issue? Housing. You know, so like all of these things are like they're by design, right? Like I don't even think the Democrats, I mean, they're not any their investments are with groups that don't care about housing, or like they care about it as like a luxury, not as a human right. And the that's the whole culture war thing, right? Ultimately, is that like they are both banking from the same groups, banking from the same packs. They punt the football back and forth. They blame each other. They blame each other's voters. They blame trans people. They blame immigrants. They blame whatever. But it's all capitalism, right? I mean, that's the thing that holds everything together. It's just all about capital. And they have the same handlers. The Sununus and the Shaheens have the same handlers. That's the thing that is becoming clearer and clearer. That like it's just a big shell game, right? And that's why, again, I got to remind everybody that like when there is a big stock, like they're doing insider trading, like let's say they're about to cut Medicaid. There's always Democrats and Republicans who get caught in these stock exchanges that are doing insider trading. Nancy Pelosi was like a master at it, right? I mean, like that was a real thing. That wasn't like a conspiracy. They all took advantage of that. So to the extent that, again, they're just going to punt it back and forth and they're going to say, well, you know what? I'm better because there's a D in front of my name. But there's no functional difference there, right? Again, you'll say, well, one group is actually actively rounding people up. My argument is, well, the other group allowed this group to start rounding people up, right? And is not saying anything about it, right? It's just ultimately like, that's how I look at it.
They're not saying shit.
Absolutely.
I don't want to end. Sorry,
in some ways. And to go back to the Chris Pappas thing, and I've said this many times, and I've said it to you, Marissa, ICE is a bipartisan force, guys. Like if ICE is to exist through this and Democrats take over, the reason why they're not is because they're going to use ICE too. They're going to use ICE on us too, okay? Because the capitalists have all agreed on this together, that this was what they were going to do. We saw it with Biden, with the college campuses, right? He was the first one to send troops into those campuses to start beating down the students. People like to forget about that. And he was the one that really empowered ICE too. He was funding ICE. He gave increased funding to ICE too. He was deporting a lot of people. He was running on a border wall that was to the right of Republicans. These things are not coincidences, man. Like again, like it's right in front of you now that they're in cahoots, right? For lack of a better word, it's just it's a controlled opposition type thing. And that's what I keep telling people. I saw it one time in chat today in TikTok. I didn't respond. I wanted to get through without getting sidewinded. But someone was like, I'm going to vote blue anyway. Right? And my thing is why? For what? Like there was listen, this is a complicated conversation we will have, but there was a time where I would tell you voting blue no matter what maybe was a helpful thing. But if you sit here right now and you signal that I'm going to vote blue no matter what, why the fuck would they change anything? Why would they move on anything? They know you're going to vote for them. They know when it comes down to them and the scary fascies, you know, that they like to pretend they're not like them, that you'll be so scared. Like, oh, they're coming. Well, guess what? They're here now. So that fear doesn't really work. It doesn't have, they're here. The question now is, and I like to end with the show with this, what do you want to come next? What do you guys want to come after this? Because this will end. And what will come after is what the Chris Pappases and the Maggie Goodlanders want. They want the status quo. They want to go back to how things were. We do not. We do not. If we are burning, if this thing is burning down, we're going to grow something better out of the ashes. Okay? We're not going to go back to the same horse shit. If we're going to change it, we're going to get something better to replace it. And that is my North Star. Is that like, I'm not going to just vote blue to go back to how things were. I'm done with how things were. How do you want things to be? That's the question from now on, I think.
I love that. I think that's a great question too, right? That's a great one to keep coming back to. All right. I want to end us on, I want to watch, since the TikTok viewing is a hit in the Twitch chat today, I'm going to wrap up and then I'm going to think I'm tired. I'm pooped. My contacts are like, take me out. I'm done.
Maybe Friday. Maybe we should do
so
something
I'm gonna
fun
share-
Friday, like an FYP. Like, you know, we talk about like checking each other's FYPs and showing some fun. Maybe we'll do something fun on Friday to get you guys excited.
That's
Our
true.
TikTok FYPs.
We'll do some like TikTok roulette or something, because there are definitely like, it's so funny because we definitely have a Venn diagram overlap of a lot, but there's also a lot that's
I send Marissa anytime I get like an outrageous FYP. Yeah, I send it to Marissa. I'm like, every time there's something out of pocket of my FYP, I'm sending it over to you so you can see what this app is trying to do to me on a daily basis. It's insane.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, so we're gonna watch Sinahan talk and give us a little bit of motivation as well as we head into the
thinking about getting involved and running for local office. Now is the time to lock in. The filing period to get on the March ballot is sometime in January, depending on the town or the school district if you're looking at school board. And it just takes a quick phone call, or maybe it's even on your town website to find out. For those of you who have been following my saga, unfortunately, I will not be able to run for state rep like I wanted to next year. I've got some personal stuff going on that just scheduling wise makes it nearly impossible to manage. And if you have been following, you know that I've been considering either school board or budget committee, and my heart really is with school board just because of my background and the reasons behind why I want to be on school board. Just it's more compelling than budget committee, I guess. But after doing a little bit of research, I was leaning more budget committee because it didn't make sense to run for school board. Well, now I'm back. I talked to someone on the school board this morning whose seat is up for election next year, and they may not run. And I'm really glad that I took the time to meet with them for coffee and have a conversation. And I think that's what a lot of us are missing when we're trying to find ways to get involved and think about, you know, what to run for, how to actually make an impact. And what kills me, knowing that so many of us are trying to fight against all the damage being done by the Free Staters, is that this is all it takes. We need to talk to each other more often. We need to be having these, group conversations, but even one-on-one conversations and sharing information and planning out these things strategically so that we can combine resources and just be way more effective. Anyway, if you made it this far, be brave, ask questions. That's how you get shit done.
I just want to remind women.
I feel like Sinahan is the queen of like coffee dates. Like, I feel like Sinahan is just like getting out there and like meeting with people and asking questions and learning and sharing what she's learning here. And like, it's this like cycle that I just think is so cool. You are a bridge builder and you're amazing. And I think it's awesome. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Anything else, Aria? Any parting words of wisdom?
No, just a quick, shameless plug. I did this a couple shows in a row. I'm going to probably do it on Friday too, but big event for Paige Boschman running against Maggie Goodlander this Saturday. She's going to have this amazing event I'm very excited about. It is, we're calling it like Turn the Page, but it's like, we have a lot of like play on words with page, like turning the page on the same page. It's gonna be nice. But we got
you can tell Arya came up with that. He's so proud. Look at him. He's like a little kid.
Blow up my spot. But no, this is you go to pagefornewhampshire.com. There's an RSVP there that'll help us out. Like if you're in Nashua, I'm gonna be there. Rumor on the street, Marissa's gonna be there too. We'll see. She has a couple cancellations in the bag with me, so we'll see if she's gonna make it there. I'm gonna still like push her.
I'm planning on being there though. I'm planning on it.
Absolutely.
I'm planning on it. I'll be there.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be a great event. It's Paige's hometown. Obviously, it's where I live. My family has had a business in Nashua for most of my life. Nashua is very important to me, and this event is important too. It's going to be a winter drive, and the thing that like I love about Paige and a lot of these candidates is that like there's a lot of it's just a lot about mutual aid. Like it's very hard for us to ask for money. Like it really is. Like it's hard for her to ask for donations. Like we want the money to go to mutual aid and stuff. So know that we are constantly, when we are planning these events, it is because we we do ultimately think that like helping the community is almost required in this environment while we're running. And it puts our money where our mouth is. Let's be honest, right? Some people think that shit is performative. It's not for me. It's not for Paige Bushman. And, you know, like, I hope we can see you guys there and talk to you more about what's important in New Hampshire and some of these great candidates that we have.
I'm literally gonna like beat the shit out of anybody who's talking about stuff being performative right now. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
they're out.
That is like such. Are you fucking kidding me? Right? Like, what are we talking about? Right? What are we even doing if we can't like do mutual aid without like fuck off? Anyway, that's
the, you know, there is a whole group of people out there who think altruism is immoral. Like, seriously, there's a whole thinking out there that altruism is immoral because it like means it's I'm not gonna nerd out too much on this, but it's bullshit. It's an individualistic. We live in an individualistic society that doesn't exist in most other societies. There's community, people take care of each other, and for some reason we've been taught to like treat everyone like competition, and that's not the case, right? Like, altruism is not immoral. It's the most moral thing on earth, I think.
It's very no good deed goes unpunished, which Arya will not get this reference because he's not seen Wicked, but any of the Wicked nerds in the crowd will, which I now realize we've made it through 2 live streams and I haven't done any emotional processing of the Wicked movie and what it meant for living in a fascist America, but I definitely don't have the space to do it tonight. Maybe I'll bring that energy.
Yeah, maybe Friday you can explain Wicked to me a little bit. Maybe we can have a Wicked session on Friday and I could get a little bit of breakdown.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna get like a curated FYP going of like some explanations of like why Wicked is important in this cultural moment too. So yeah, I will take that as a homework assignment. But we will be live again Friday, 12 o'clock. We will be here on the Twitch. We will be on TikTok telling you that we are live. We're also probably going to be on YouTube. We tried to get it working for tonight. We got very close, but we did not quite make it.
It gave us a 24-hour counter. Can you believe it? It gave us, we tried to go live and it was like, you can't go live until 24 hours has passed. It's such bullshit, but they teased us this time.
Everybody thinks this stuff is easy. They think that it's just so easy to just go on live and just like this shit is hard. We're figuring it out. We're 2 of us together have half of a brain. So we're doing our best. Guys, I'm done. It's my bedtime. It was really fun. This was a very fun chat tonight. Thank you guys for being here. This was a great time. You guys made me laugh so fucking. Absolutely. Let's get muffin beef stickers.
Yeah, please. Oh, that would be insane. I'd buy that merch for sure. Bye, guys.
All right. I'm killing it. Good night, guys.